So this video is fucking late. To give you an idea of how late this video is, one of these games was going to be reviewed in October, which then got put to November. Then it was delayed even more because I was playing some Christmas specials, which I'm rewriting right now. Then I actually asked for a key for another game, and that is way past overdue. I'm extremely sorry. Then I played way too many other games, so now we have I've been playing Megasode. Ready? First game. Firstly, we're going to start with the game that I feel should be reviewed first, which is I can't pronounce this. Cat Koyo is the debut from Backslash Games and is a fighting game where you play as a cat and try to be the first to fill your basket with fish. And you maul other cats in the process. The fighting in this game is actually really good and the animation fits it well. While there aren't a lot of techniques like most fighting games, the simplicity benefits Cat Koyo in my opinion. The game is more about being fast and defending yourself rather than dodging an offense. And well, the art in general is just really well done, to be honest. Both the characters and the backgrounds are surprisingly very well designed and fluid. So yeah, great job Giavon and Adam Robert-Fiozzi. I am so sorry, I cannot pronounce French names. There are also a lot of stages to choose from, which is incredible for an indie studio. Another positive is that all kinds of controllers work, unlike most Steam games, so if you only have an Xbox controller and a PS4 controller, you're all good, mate. However, while Cat Koyo is very fun and a great fighting game, especially as the debut, its main gimmick is also its downfall. See, Cat Koyo is what is known as a couch game. A couch game basically means a game that's meant to be played locally and not online, in the vein of Smash 64 and Mario Party. But, Cat Koyo is only available on Steam and itch.io. Most people are going to have their computers in an office or bedroom, and older laptops get really hot playing this game. The best way to play it locally would be through Steam Link, yes I have one, shut the fuck up, or through Steam Remote Play, which is actually decent but depends on everyone's hardware. I think if there were an online play update in the future, it would greatly improve my enjoyment of the game. So currently, Cat Koyo gets 4 out of 5 kitties. Hey, you like Bloodborne? You like Castlevania? Then you might like Blasphemous, made by the Game Kitchen, who can probably make better food than I can. You're supposed to take the plastic off? Blasphemous is a really fucking hard and cryptic Metroidvania about the Penitent One, a sole survivor of an event known as the Silent Sorrow. Your goal is to get to the Cradle of Affection and fulfill, well, penance. Yeah, the story is extremely confusing and I had to consult both the Wikipedia and fandom pages, but at least it has a better story than Dark Souls 1. The combat in Blasphemous is oddly satisfying as well as very gory. Learning the combat system is rewarding and can even lead to you having a chance to perform executions which range from violent to incredibly violent. Yeah, this game is rated M for a reason, people. Another great aspect is the side quests. While you don't have to complete them, the side quests make the world feel very alive and, in a way, hopeful. Unlike Dark Souls, where it's like, the world is doomed and no one's happy. I haven't even talked about all the collectibles, rosary beads, and upgrades. Like, guys, this is a huge game. But the best part is the outstanding art and music. There's so much detail in this game that I'm surprised that it only took about 2 years to make. And the composition by Carlos Viola is outstanding and in my opinion is how to do dark fantasy music right. The whole art portion of this game really reminds me of older 2D PS1 titles, especially Symphony of the Night. The Game Kitchen is truly an underrated studio, and if you can get past the violence, cryptic lingo, and very obvious religious themes in the game, you'll have found the best 2D Souls-like Metroidvania to date. Blasphemous gets 4 3/4 out of 5 skulls. Do you want to play something like Papers, Please that doesn't have the feelings of guilt, depression, and hopelessness? Then you might like Death and Taxes. Death and Taxes is a document-style puzzle game similar to Papers, Please, in which you play the Grim Reaper at an office job. Fate has created you so you can help choose who lives and who dies. Visual-wise, I like the game's cartoony yet sketchy aesthetic. Backgrounds are very penciled in, while the characters are much more vibrant and colorful, and that just doesn't apply to their designs. The game is very reliant on dry humor, which will determine whether you like it or not. Fate and Mortimer are probably my favorite of the three you'll be interacting with, but you know, devs, sometimes you need to know when to stop the joke.
We scoured nigh every inch for this calendar. Alas, mayhaps we raided too many merchantmen for it. 'Cause turns out, it weren't even on a ship. Still worth it for the annals' work on any ear.
You can also decide whether to be an utter snark machine to Fate or totally obedient, which leads to some interesting and hilarious conversations.
What?
Also, I just found this out, but apparently there's 30 endings, and with only a 2 to 3 hour length, it has a lot of replayability. But the game is very unclear about how some of its mechanics work. Like, how do you know what will cause the world to have peace instead of chaos? Even with the desk clamp, it just shows grayed out symbols. It's not that fun. By the late game as well, the story becomes much more railroaded, and the freedom you once had is completely gone. This, combined with the fact that there's no time limit, makes you skim through social media and human profiles a lot more than actually reading about them. Also, this elevator. Just what is this elevator? Death and Taxes is a good start if you want to get into document puzzles games like Papers, Please, and Obra Dinn, but it does need some improvements. 3 3/4 out of 5 lemons. I just realized no one will get that joke if they haven't played the game. This game came out 3 years ago and I'm not okay. The End is Nigh is basically Super Meat Boy's brooding distant cousin and was developed by Edmund McMillan and Tyler Glale. I seriously hope I'm pronouncing that right. Despite the darker undertones, however, and that's saying something considering Edmund made The Binding of Isaac, The End is Nigh still has time for humor in it and it is much appreciated. And well, this might be a hot take, but I think this game is better than Super Meat Boy. I'm sorry! Super Meat Boy is a fun game, don't get me wrong, but The End is Nigh just feels like a more personal and connected game. The journey feels more important, the gameplay affects the gravity of the situation, and well, it just feels more in tune, for lack of a better word. You can really tell Edmund cared about Ash's story when making The End is Nigh, and it definitely shows. That being said, do not go into this game expecting Meat Boy. This game's not about going as fast as you can to get to the goal. The platforming is a lot trickier and tighter, requiring planning and patience. Just jumping into action at the beginning of the stage will result in your death most of the time. If you go into this game expecting it to be just like Super Meat Boy, your experience will likely get tainted because of it. In fact, that might be why the reviews aren't as good as its spiritual predecessor. The one thing I do think Meat Boy does better though is probably the music department. The music does fit the mood for both games, but when I compare the two, well yeah, I'm gonna remember Meat Boys more. Forest Funk from SMB is an incredibly catchy and memorable tune, but I can't remember anything from The End is Nigh, which is a shame honestly because Ridiculon are great composers. It just doesn't work in this case. Overall though, I think this is a great game and deserves more praise than it gets. 4 1/4 game cartridges. Oh what, you thought Blasphemous was gonna be the goriest game on this list? Ask yourself this. What would happen if you took the thing, then became the thing, then injected Devolver Digital's trademark cocaine into your system? Well, you'd get Carry On now, wouldn't you? Carry On's demo released a few months back and oh my god, it's incredible. The atmosphere is tense, the music is superb, the art is bloody as fuck. And for a concept that could have ended up either good or bad, I'm really glad it ended up being a great demo. You play as an alien and your goal is to eat and murder everything. I will say that the controls did take some getting used to, but once you're able to get the hang of it, it's pretty damn fun. The best way to describe it is almost like a twin stick shooter actually, which is kind of weird because it's almost like a Metroidvania game. Of that's 2 in 1 list, people, and eating people does actually affect the gameplay. However, don't get too comfortable. If you get damaged too much, you'll go to a weaker state, so be careful. The game is also really good at blending the feel of 80s body horror films like The Thing, The Blob, and The Fly with the Metroidian atmosphere atmosphere. And when you think about it, that's basically Metroid Fusion. I would rate it higher, but I don't think you can get the demo anymore. Yeah, this game got a free demo for 1 week due to the Game Awards, along with Chicory, Skatebird, and System Shock. I haven't uninstalled the game, so I'm good, but I feel like a lot of people are missing out on this. It's a game that accomplishes at being a horror game despite you being the villain. 4.5 out of 5 aliens. In the meantime, go play the Phobia Game Studios' other game, Butcher. It's cool and only $10, so seriously people, go support these guys. I have a feeling I'm gonna piss some people off with this final entry. I love horror games. I love Junji Ito. So if you put them both together, I should love World of Horror, right? Right? I'm sorry guys, but out of all of the games in this video, World of Horror was my least favorite. NANI? I'm not saying your 10 out of 10 feelings are invalid, but I cannot agree with them. While graphically it looks astonishing, especially using the 1 or 2-bit styles to give the illusion of drawings, the game isn't fun, or I can't believe I'm saying this about a game called World of Horror, scary. The combat feels needlessly restrictive and monotonous, you get very little healing items, the scares are oddly predictable, and when you do die, it can sometimes be fucking bullshit. Funnily enough, I actually got my first ending on my playthrough with the most doom added to it. The game does have a lot of content, I'll give it that, but the thing is, more content does not equate to good content. And even with all that stuff added in, I didn't see a lot of it because it just kept repeating the same events over and over in the first campaign, and the second campaign so far has had even less encounters. This game has potential, and since it's in early access, it can be fixed a bit, but fuck, I'm disappointed. Look, I really wanted to like World of Horror, I really did, but at the end of the day, Junji Ito's style just doesn't translate to video games well enough to hold a full-fledged title. And it sucks because I can tell that a lot of care was put into this game, but ultimately I just felt bored and was ready to call it quits after the first campaign. My advice? Just read Uzumaki or Gyo instead. I'm sorry, but World of Horror gets 2 out of 5 zombie sharks. And I'm not talking about the music this time, it gave me a fucking headache. And there we go, that is 6 games reviewed in one huge video. I am incredibly sorry for how late it was, especially to the team over at Backslash, and down in the comments below, I want you to tell me whether you prefer this kind of method where it's 2 minutes per game, or if you prefer the 5-minute episodes like with Crash Team Racing. Regular Pixel Punch videos will be returning very shortly, so I will see you all in the next episode. Good.